99% of gardeners are growing vegetables too slow right now. You are spending months waiting for tomatoes that could be ready 3 weeks earlier. You are watching cucumbers struggle when they could be producing twice as fast. You are adding time to every single crop because you are using a garden design that creates slowness. This is not about your effort. This is about your method. Modern gardening teaches you to plant one crop per bed, water daily, fertilize weekly, and fight pests constantly. Indigenous systems grew the same crops faster with zero fertilizer, zero pesticides, and zero daily watering. The difference is design. You are gardening backwards. You are watering your garden every single day. You are weeding twice a week. You are fighting aphids and whiteflies. You are buying fertilizer every month. You are spending 10 to 15 minutes per day on maintenance. That is 70 to 100 minutes every week. That is an entire weekend every month lost to garden tasks. And your vegetables are still growing slow. Your tomatoes take 80 to 90 days to produce fruit. Your cucumbers take 65 to 70 days. Your peppers take 75 to 85 days. You are waiting 3 full months for a single harvest while you water and weed and spray and fertilize daily. Here is what this really costs you. Every extra week of slow growth is a week you cannot start the next planting. If your tomatoes mature in 90 days instead of 70, you lose 20 days per crop. That is an entire succession planting you cannot fit into the season. Over a full growing season, slow maturity cuts your total harvest by 30 to 40%. You are getting one harvest when you could be getting two. Meanwhile, you are spending $200 to $400 every season on inputs. Fertilizer costs $40 to $60 per bag. Pest sprays cost $20 to $30 per bottle. You buy 3 to 4 bags of fertilizer and 5 to 6 bottles of spray per season. That is $300 spent fighting problems your garden design created. But here is the reality most garden centers will not tell you. Your vegetables are not growing slow because of bad soil. They are growing slow because you are planting monocultures. You are growing one crop per bed with empty soil between plants. That empty soil means no nitrogen fixers, no living mulch, no companion plants protecting against pests. Your tomatoes are pulling all their nitrogen from the soil with nothing replacing it. Your soil is drying out fast because there is no shade. Pests are finding your crops easily because there is no disruption. This is a maintenance trap. Monoculture beds deplete nitrogen fast. Plants grow slow. You add synthetic fertilizer. The fertilizer feeds the plants, but kills soil biology. The soil biology dies. The soil structure breaks down. Water drains away faster. You water more frequently. The cycle continues. Meanwhile, indigenous polyculture gardens matured the same crops 20 to 30 days faster with zero daily intervention. Corn reached full maturity in 75 days instead of 90. Beans produced in 55 days instead of 70. Squash fruited in 65 days instead of 80. 3 crops from one bed, all faster than modern monocultures. Zero fertilizer, zero pesticides. Here's the difference. Indigenous gardeners designed plant relationships that created speed. They paired nitrogen-fixing beans with heavy-feeding corn. The beans pulled nitrogen from the air and deposited it in the soil. The corn used that nitrogen immediately. Growth accelerated by 30% without any fertilizer input. They planted squash as living mulch between the corn and beans. The squash leaves shaded the soil and prevented evaporation. The soil stayed moist for 5 to 7 days instead of 1 to 2 days. Roots grew deeper, faster. Plants matured quicker. This is not luck. This is observation-based ecology. When you plant beans next to corn, the beans fix nitrogen. The corn grows faster. When you plant squash as ground cover, the soil retains water longer. All 3 crops mature faster than they would alone. Think about it. You are treating your garden like a war zone. You are controlling. You are dominating. You are intervening daily. Indigenous systems treated gardens like ecosystems. They observed. They designed relationships. They let the system regulate itself. That is why their crops grew faster with less work. Here is what most people miss about fast growth. Speed does not come from adding more inputs. It comes from designing a system where plants help each other grow. Nitrogen fixers feed heavy feeders. Living mulch retains water. Companion plants disrupt pests. The garden accelerates itself. Your current method creates the opposite. Single crops deplete nitrogen. Bare soil loses water fast. Pests move easily from plant to plant. You spend every day fighting these problems. The fighting slows everything down. This is not your fault. You were taught to garden this way. Every garden center sells you the same model. One crop per bed. Daily watering. Weekly fertilizing. Constant pest control. This model makes money for suppliers. It does not make fast vegetables for you. Here's where it gets interesting. Fast growth is not about adding things to your garden. It is about designing relationships that eliminate the need for inputs. When you understand how nitrogen fixers work with heavy feeders, how living mulch retains water, how companion plants disrupt pests, you stop fighting and start observing. Mechanism 1. Nitrogen fixers accelerate heavy feeders. Beans and peas have root nodules that host bacteria. These bacteria pull nitrogen from the air and convert it into a form plants can use. When you plant beans next to corn or tomatoes, the beans deposit nitrogen directly into the soil. The corn uses that nitrogen immediately. Growth accelerates by 25 to 30% without any fertilizer input. This is not theoretical. Corn planted alone in average soil takes 90 days to reach full maturity. Corn planted with beans in the same soil takes 70 to 75 days. Same variety, same weather, same watering schedule. 3 weeks faster just from the nitrogen relationship. Tomatoes show the same pattern. Tomatoes planted alone take 80 to 85 days to first fruit. Tomatoes planted with bush beans at the base take 65 to 70 days. 15 days faster. That is 2 extra weeks to start a fall crop or plant a succession. Mechanism 2. Living mulch retains water and suppresses weeds. Squash, clover, and low-growing herbs spread across the soil surface. Their leaves shade the ground. Soil temperature drops by 10 to 15 degrees. Evaporation slows by 60 to 70%. The soil stays moist for 5 to 7 days instead of 1 to 2 days. When soil retains moisture longer, roots grow deeper faster. Deep roots access nutrients lower in the soil profile. Plants grow stronger and mature quicker. Squash planted as living mulch between corn rows reduces watering frequency from daily to twice per week. The corn roots go 12 to 18 inches deep instead of 6 to 8 inches. Maturity time drops from 90 days to 75 days. Living mulch also prevents weeds. Bare soil gets sunlight. Weed seeds germinate in 3 to 5 days. You spend 30 to 40 minutes per week pulling weeds. When squash or clover covers the soil, weed seeds do not get light. Germination drops by 80 to 90%. You eliminate weekly weeding entirely. Mechanism 3. Companion planting disrupts pests and eliminates spray cycles. When you plant one crop in a large area, pests find it fast. Aphids locate tomato plants by scent. They move from plant to plant in rows. A single aphid colony infests an entire bed in 2 weeks. You spray. The spray kills beneficial insects. Pest populations rebound in 10 days. You spray again. The cycle continues all season. When you intercrop tomatoes with basil and marigolds, the scent profile changes. Aphids cannot locate tomatoes as easily. The ones that do arrive encounter basil, which releases compounds that repel them. Marigold roots release chemicals into the soil that kill nematodes. Pest pressure drops by 60 to 70% without any sprays. This saves time and money. No weekly spray applications. No trips to the garden center for pest products. No damage recovery time where plants slow growth to repair leaf tissue. Plants spend energy on fruit production instead of defense. Tomatoes with basil companions fruit 12 to 15 days faster than tomatoes planted alone. Now let's talk about the three sisters as a teaching example. This is corn, beans, and squash planted together. Indigenous farmers across North America used this combination for thousands of years. It works because each plant provides a function that accelerates the others. You plant corn first. Corn grows tall and provides a vertical structure. When the corn is 6 inches tall, you plant beans at the base. The beans climb the corn stalk. The bean roots host nitrogen-fixing bacteria. The bacteria deposit nitrogen in the soil. The corn uses that nitrogen and grows faster. 1 week after planting beans, you plant squash at the edge of the mound. The squash spreads across the ground between the corn plants. The large squash leaves shade the soil. Evaporation slows. The soil stays moist longer. All three plants benefit from retained moisture. The result is 3 crops from one space in 75 days. Corn alone takes 90 days. Beans alone takes 70 days. Squash alone takes 80 days. Together, all three mature faster because the system accelerates itself. Now let's talk about how you implement this in a modern yard. You do not need to redesign your entire garden at once. Start with one bed. Choose one fast-maturing companion combination and plant it this weekend. Combination 1. Lettuce and radishes between tomato plants. When you transplant tomato seedlings, space them 24 inches apart. Between each tomato plant, direct seed lettuce and radishes. The lettuce matures in 25 to 30 days. The radishes mature in 25 days. You harvest both long before the tomato plants fill the space. The tomatoes then grow into the area and fruit in 65 to 70 days instead of 80 to 85. 3 crops from one bed. Combination 2. Bush beans with carrots. Carrots take 70 to 75 days to mature. Bush beans take 55 to 60 days and they fix nitrogen. Plant carrot seeds in rows. Between every 2 carrot rows, plant 1 row of bush beans. The beans start fixing nitrogen by day 20. The carrots use that nitrogen and grow faster. The beans produce by day 55. You harvest the beans. The carrots mature in 65 days instead of 75. 10 days faster. 2 crops from the same space. Combination 3. Basil underplanted with peppers. Peppers take 75 to 85 days to first fruit. When you transplant pepper seedlings, plant basil at the base of each pepper plant. The basil shades the soil and releases aromatic compounds that repel aphids. The peppers fruit in 65 to 70 days instead of 75 to 85, 15 days faster. 0 pest sprays needed. Here is what this means for your weekends. Right now, you are spending 60 to 100 minutes per week on garden maintenance. Daily watering takes 10 minutes. Weeding takes 30 minutes twice per week. Pest control takes 20 minutes per week. That is 90 minutes minimum. When you redesign one bed as a polyculture, maintenance drops to 20 minutes per week. You water once instead of daily. The living mulch eliminates weeds. Companion plants eliminate pest sprays. Total time saved is 140 minutes per week. Over a growing season, that is 60 hours saved. That is an entire work week you do not spend maintaining your garden. Here is what this means for your food budget. You are currently spending $200 to $400 per season on fertilizer, pest sprays, and replacement plants. A polyculture bed eliminates those costs. Nitrogen fixers replace fertilizer. Companion plants replace pest sprays. Your input costs drop to 0. Plus, faster maturity means more succession plantings. If your tomatoes mature in 65 days instead of 80, you gain 15 days. That is enough time to plant and harvest a fall crop of lettuce or spinach. Same bed, 2 harvests instead of 1. Picture this. It is late summer. You walk into your garden. The tomatoes are fruiting heavily. The basil at their base is lush and green. The clover mulch is suppressing all weeds. You harvested lettuce and radishes from this same bed 2 months ago. You are harvesting tomatoes now. In 6 weeks, you will plant fall lettuce in the same space. 3 harvests from one bed. Total maintenance time this season has been 20 minutes per week. This is what happens when you stop fighting your garden and start designing it as a self-regulating system. You get your weekends back. You stop spending money on inputs. You harvest more food in less time. The choice is yours. You can keep planting single crops and spending every weekend watering, weeding, and spraying while you wait 90 days for tomatoes. Or you can redesign one bed this spring as a polyculture and watch tomatoes fruit in 65 days while you spend 20 minutes per week observing instead of fighting. You can fix this today. Choose one bed. Plant one fast companion combination. Track the results. When you see peppers fruiting 3 weeks earlier or tomatoes producing while your neighbors are still waiting, you will redesign the rest. Start with one bed. Observe the speed. Expand next season.